Hello YouTube, bit of a video response here to what I can remember anyway. Geordie Slasher Gaming, Mark, Retroredsteve, Eddie, Rollerxcore X, Scott SEGA Zombie, and a few others. My apologies. I'll put all the links to their videos in the description below, so please go and check those out. This is for the 10 best, which I'm a sucker for, or favourite Master System games. Now with this, there's not going to be any honourable mentions because I tried doing that and there's just too many. It was really messing with my head. Also, I'm really struggling to put these in any sort of top 10 order, but there are 10 games here. It's so messy to do this with just the nostalgia, the rose tinted glasses as well, and the genuine good games and games I've discovered now. So having those all interspliced and ordered correctly, I've just found too difficult. Sorry, bit of a cop out. I do apologise. But anyway, on with the games. I've mentioned in my Sega Master System collection video, have I done a memories video yet? I don't know. About the Master System in general, so I'll let you go and watch those vids if you so wish. Now this was the first console I actually owned after the ZX Spectrum. And just the jump in fidelity of graphics, the colour, the vibrancy, the complete musical scores, albeit chiptunes, and the gameplay, which was much more polished, and storytelling, which was much more polished compared to the Spectrum, was a massive leap forward. So I am going to try and go through these in like a first kind of gut instinct top 10. And the first one I'm going to go for is Asterix. Really loved my platformers back when I was a nipper, and that probably stemmed from the Spectrum. I loved traversing a level and jumping over enemies and hitting enemies and avoiding enemies and getting from A to B. And I think that's where this kind of gameplay really hit home. And this Asterix, which sounds ridiculous now, similar to a couple of other platformers and other games that I've got here as well. It's just like a cartoon come to life, and I know that sounds incredible now with, you know, how rudimentary the game actually looks, but coming from the Spectrum, and again, this was kind of cutting edge back in the day. It was so vibrant and colourful, lovely flat graphics, bold, brilliant, and you would switch between Asterix, who punched, and his bigger boned lad that's say friend Obelix, who would smash in blocks with his backside. And I think they had two kind of other special attacks or abilities that allowed them to traverse different levels, and I can't remember if you were forced to do said levels with them or you could choose. I can't remember, but I remember blitzing this and completing it. Really got to go back to this one. I haven't even picked this one up and put it in the system since being a collector, so really looking forward to that. But great fond memories of Asterix. Let's pop him up like that. What one next? We're going to go for you. Another platformer. Lucky Dime Caper, Donald Duck. Again, like this, a bit like a cartoon come to life. I remember really enjoying the music, the stages, Huey, Dewey and Louie. Your nephews get captured by, what's she called? What's that evil duck lass called? Duck Tilda? Something silly like that. Grim Tilda, Duck Tilda, I don't know. I'll find out after this video, I'm sure. But they were all taken to different parts of the world. So I think there was an Aztec land. Was there a snow thing? There's always a snow level, isn't there? But yeah, they were taken away, and then you had to collect the dimes, find the lucky dimes after that. I can't remember, but I played this, finished it, and I popped this in the system a couple of months ago to give it a bash, and my god, I had my ass handed to me. Yeah, just really need to sort of hone in on this game. And back then with this sort of system, you owned 1 or 2 games, 3 if you were like lucky. and you would just play them to absolute death. And I had so much patience, a lot of time for my games back then. Wish I had a bit more time now. And yeah, absolutely loved this. You know, the frisbee, the mallet, great bosses I remember as well. Look, that lovely Disney-esque animation style and the beautifully drawn for an 8-bit system anyway. But yeah, really good times with this. Please check it out if you haven't already and you are interested. Swig of juice. Now the next game is an RPG, and what I always wanted or felt I was gravitating towards in gaming as a youngling, as a lad, was a great adventure. And RPGs, which wasn't really a genre or didn't have any sort of meaning for me back then, allow me to do that. And it's Govelliot's Valley of Doom. I never finished it, and that's why it's so low down my list, but I do intend to go back and play this one. But it really captured my imagination. I borrowed this when my friend, I think it was Neil, lent me his Master System, because it was a bit of a try before you buy, and I think I bought his with a few games for Christmas. I got my parents to do so for me for Christmas, and this was one of them. But you would go from like a top-down perspective across the overworld map, and then go into like a side view as you went into holes that you would find through like hacking down a tree or removing a rock, jumping down the hill. Then you go back to town and talk to people and stuff. And yeah, it really felt like a very Japanesey anime story, and I was just being introduced back then as well to anime and manga, Fist of the North Star and things like that, and I could see the correlation between the art style and at least in the title sequences, and arguably the box art as well. But and I was a huge fan of Clash of the Titans and things like that, and I always remember that cover really sort of suggested that swashbuckling, ancient, fantastical kind of adventure. But yeah, I really must go back and play this one. Great graphics. I remember seeing the big, when you went into the side-scrolling levels, that massive red worm, and just thinking, oh my god, look how incredible those graphics are. Beautiful, dense, bold, colourful worm just sort of bouncing up and down and smashing him. But yeah, complete different level to the ZX Spectrum that I owned previous, and it just felt like cutting edge gaming back at the time. Really enjoyed that one. Next, God, there's lots of platformers here. I'm going to go on to another platformer. Which one now? Yeah, you. Sonic the Hedgehog. It's only recently, since being on YouTube and making videos and looking at other people's videos, that I see there's a bit of a following for this game, more so than the Mega Drive Sonic the Hedgehog, and I'm kind of inclined to agree. I remember getting this and absolutely loving it, and then for some reason with the Mega Drive version, I don't know what it was, obviously it had better graphics, better sound, better presentation, etc., but I don't know, I just lost something, and I think it gained the speed, didn't it? And I think I prefer a more slower, methodical platformer. I just think that kind of style lends itself much better to platforming, and this had that. And on this note as well, I really must try and get my Master System modded to 60 Hz, because I really want to play these games just at that extra 10 megahertz. Really makes all the difference in speed, and I think Sonic will benefit from that. But yeah, I remember really enjoying this game, completing it on a well over time. It just, again, it was like many of these games that I'm going to show you. I always remember sunny days with my Master System outside, drawing the curtains, piss off sun, don't need you, 14-inch colour TV, cranked right up, darkness in the room, control pad, glass of orange juice probably, and a sandwich and some crisps, And away I went. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Love Sonic the Hedgehog. Next, I spoke about this in my collection video, and I absolutely have loved this game. I loved this game. I just found it, well, every game back then was kind of different and unique because I was just discovering the genres, and a lot of the games are starting to fall into categories as well. Anyway, it's Game Ground, and this, similar to Sonic, but definitely so for Game Ground. I think the Master System version is so much better than the Mega Drive version, and I would love to see this game retold, remastered, or brought back, or something similar. That will ever happen. But I remember having just hours and playing this for hours and hours and hours, loving it. And you get all these different characters with different abilities, and the idea was to go from the bottom of the screen to the top of the screen, and you had loads of different terrains, different baddies and enemies that had different projectile weapons or melee attacks to get you as you were progressing from the bottom to the top of the screen. And you had all these different characters that had different skills. One had a machine gun which would spray in all the different directions. There was a guy that was a grenadier that would chuck grenades so he could hit people that were up on hills and ledges and things like that. What else did you have? You had a wizard, you had a dwarf. Did I have a dwarf? Yeah, probably had an obligatory dwarf, I'm sure you did. What else did you have? A hunter that, yeah, had a bow and arrow. They were quite weak though, so you'd have to fire a couple, but they had a slight elevation, so you could hit people that were slightly elevated above you. I loved it, and you were just, and I think you went through time. You sort of started off in a prehistoric time, worked your way through medieval to current day, etc., and then you went into like a future stages. I think I remember that right anyway. But yeah, hours and hours of fun with this. It sort of reminded me of a bottom to top equivalent of, say, Smash TV or something like that. If you love those sort of games, I loved Game Ground, and I still do as well. I've played it a couple of times since being a collector, and still all those memories come flooding back. Loved it. Right, moving swiftly on to, yeah, this is looking about right actually. There I was saying at the start I couldn't categorize these into the top 10, but I think I'm actually going to do it. I don't know, this is where it really starts to get a little bit difficult. RType. I absolutely love this game. It's quite difficult, but I don't remember it being too tricky compared to some of the later RType games. Beautiful graphics, and I owned this, like many of the other games, on the 8-bit micro spectrum, and this was just night and day. That colour, the quick loading. I mean, with the Spectrum tape, I think you had to rewind and chuck it over the other side and load the other side of the tape every single time that you wanted to play a different level. I think that's how it worked. Memory, bad. But yeah, this, I spent hours and hours and hours on this, and I've said this in one of my top 5 retro bosses. The level where you fight against this bloody great green spaceship, and you're going around it and you're shooting its guns, dodging its bullets and blowing bits off it and circumnavigating this whole entire craft. We've got the thrusters at the back and you're blowing those up, and you go all the way around it, and then you eventually, provided obviously you don't get killed, you can beat it. And all these things were so fresh in the game in mind back then, and it was just legendary, and it's always stuck with me, this game. Love my RType, and love it on future systems as well, like the SNES and PlayStation. So yeah, really good. Next, oh god, what one do I go for? Yeah, I gotta go for you. Alex Kidd in Miracle World. The packing game that I remember owning on the system, and the packing game that I used to play around my mate Pete, and my mate Pete is synonymous with this system. He owned the Master System as well. He upgraded from his Amstrad CPC to a Master System. I did likewise from my Spectrum to my Master System. We were playing these games, and he would get some games, and I would get some different games, and we'd just lend them to each other as we did back then. And there was a bit of a strategy to it, where it was like, well, you get that game, I get that game, and then, you know, we could all get the games without spending too much money, or our parents' money, which was a necessity back then. And yeah, Alex Kidd. So many hours. I used to, when his dad used to let me in, he was really tight and frugal with letting his son's friends in. Don't think I did anything too wrong. But anyway, hopefully Pete will do a video with me on this. But yeah, when I was eventually allowed in, we would just sit on his couch in the front room. His dad would be smoking loads, blowing smoke away. His mum would be coming in, bringing us lovely, really strong cups of tea and sandwiches and crisps and things like that. And playing this game, passing the controller around. And you could feel that competition between all three of us. And I remember us, you know, all being of a similar kind of gaming level and just getting to the same sort of place, and we were just egging each other on, and are you going to do it, and are you not, and just handing the controller back, and right, I'm going to beat you. And that couch, it wasn't a co-op game obviously, but that couch and communal gaming experience is something that I remember really, really well. And oh dear, Alex Kidd, great platformer. Yes, I know, and it was blooming annoying, and it slowed the game down. There's sort of janking moments with rock, paper and scissors with some of the bosses, but I had a whale of a time. It played so well, really smooth. Loved the levels with the bike, the helicopter, on land, underwater, and it gets really difficult. I remember this near the end. I tried playing it and got quite far through, really quite far through. Many times I've played this one anyway, even since becoming a collector. And yeah, those last levels, they are very, very tasty. Brilliant game, synonymous with the system, excellent. Right, 3 left, waffling like mad. I'm gonna go for Zillion. The first game on the Master System I completed, and I absolutely fell in love with it. Like I've said before in this vid, you're discovering genres as you were playing these games. And this one is a kind of puzzle platformer, a little bit of action and adventure in there. But you had to navigate this huge map, and it's based on an anime. And you had to navigate this huge map and open up rooms. Some rooms were shut by force fields, and you had all these different terminals with codes inside. And I remember getting a piece of paper, and with this one you've got the notes section in the back of the actual games manual itself, that's scribbling notes down, and the icons and things that you would need as passcodes to get through doors. You had these cyborg robots stopping you. What's the name of your character? CJ? Is that right? Or was that the guy you had to rescue? I can't remember the name of the character. An apple, and you had to find 2 of your friends and get the hell out of there before the place detonated. And it was like, yeah, a puzzle platformer, as I said. And once you unlocked or discovered and released those 2 characters, you could use them, and they had slightly different abilities. One was slightly better, higher at jumping, I think. Again, I haven't played this since the 80s or 1990, so I've got very little memory of it. I've seen videos of it since, when I was starting to get my nostalgia bug for it, but yeah, it's all in there. This game, first game I completed, and I absolutely loved it. And it was definitely one of those where it was blistering hot outside, curtains drawn. Just finished this game in my bedroom and absolutely loved every single moment of it. Brilliant. Right, 2 more games. Which one do I do? Oh, this is tough. Yeah, this is probably down to the 2 actually. I've actually managed to do the top 10 in order. I completely take back what I said at the start of this video. This is tough. Right, okay, I'm gonna go for this one. Number 2, Castle of Illusion. This game I remember playing, similar to DuckTales, similar to Asterix. It was like a cartoon come to life. Beautiful platformer. going into 3 levels, going through those, beating the tree boss. Was it a Jack in the Box boss? Another level, and then going on to another 3 levels with the clock boss. Was he in the first one? But big bar of chocolate. I remember that guy fighting a big bar of chocolate. Do I remember that? Sure I do. Yeah, played and finished this so many times as a kid and absolutely annihilated. Was so good at it. Same with DuckTales, same with Asterix. I think if I was to go back and play these now, they'd test me. They would really test me. But I remember playing this with my sister as well. My sister really liked playing Castle of Illusion. She's what, 4 years younger than me, and she's not a gamer now. But yeah, during this time, she enjoyed Castlevania, Castle of Illusion, and Alex Kidd. And what else did she play? A bit of Sonic, I think, and that was about it. But yeah, great memories, lovely Disney-esque animation and graphics. Love the little chip tunes in this as well. Played it hundreds of times, finished it many times. I used to own this game, pot of my 3, and it stood in my 3 game library for so long that I would just go for it, just almost completely my eyes closed. Brilliant, loved it. Last, and Retroredsteve's going to be happy with this one. It's got to be this. I don't think I ever finished it. And this is a game similar to Alex Kidd, similar to probably definitely DuckTales, Donald Duck, that I used to play at my mate Pete's, and I owned this game as well. I had a bite myself as well. Absolutely loved it, and it's like I said in the video as well, where in these games you started to get a sense that you could go on an adventure and discover things, and I love the RPG aspects, although RPG was a term that again was never known to me then, but the idea of upgrading and buying armor, shields, swords, boots to make yourself jump further, and obviously swords that gave you greater attacking power. Loved it, loved all the mini bosses, loved dealing with like your money and collecting money. And I always remember the hidden doors you would have on all the platforms, which meant ever since you discovered it as well, you'd be like, oh my god, there's a hidden shop there, and you wouldn't know anything about it. And the secrets in these games, and that was a thing that was new to us all back then as well. Started putting little secrets, like, you know, exploring, you know, curiosity will be rewarded potentially, which obviously meant that every few steps that you would take as your character, you'd be pressing up to see if there was a hidden door there. Just great memories, good times, and the bosses. Didn't they have like 3 stages of sort of death? They went there. They had like a badge on them, didn't they? They went from yellow to orange to red, and then they were dead. Brilliant. Just, and again, it was one of those games, like I said with Alex Kidd, that I remember going into my Pete's and passing the controller around and just playing this game for absolute hours. And I think as a whole we did complete it, but I think it was Pete's dad that actually did. Hopefully Pete, if he does come on one of my vids ever, he could possibly confirm that or not, I don't know. But anyway, there you go, peeps. Those are my top 10. And the next video, I do intend, I'm saying it now on camera, albeit a little bit tipsy, will be my ring tour. So hope everyone's taking care out there. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you again.